Chainsaw Man, on the surface, is a story about a man trying to touch some boobs. But in reality, there is a hidden layer of depth not often seen in modern shonen series. Chainsaw Man isn't a story about devils being slayed by humans as much as it's about the reality of humanity and how even the most staunch fiend or inhuman man can become more of a human than you'd ever think. Because this is becoming human in Chainsaw Man. Hold it, Jack! I can see you searching up the censored Chinese Chainsaw Man memes. That's of course because you're not using Surfshark VPN. Don't go unprotected in your late night meme research, as Surfshark VPN allows you to connect to a virtual private network, that's what a VPN is, to make your late night meme research as safe from prying eyes as Kobeni after one single sip of Monster Energy. As a content creator, it has also helped me get past region blocks, so now that I am able to watch whatever, whenever, like anime which are blocked where I live. Well, not anymore. Just set the VPN to, for example, Japan, and suddenly I can watch every single episode of Good Morning Call because I want to. Don't judge me. I'm a sensitive boy. But as well, it helps protect my identity online, as apparently making anime videos is pretty risky business. No thanks to those pesky Jaegerists. I tell ya what. So, join the millions of others. Join Surfshark VPN and use the code SeaTactics. That's right, SeaTactics, to get 85% off and 3 extra months free. Thank you once again to Surfshark VPN. To lay it all out for you, Chainsaw Man as a series is full of memes, from barking for Makima or yowling for power, and on the surface, the show just seems like a series in which a boy named Denji is trying to get his ideal anime girl of his dreams. However, this is a red herring for the series and is used as a way to ultimately subvert the viewer for those who dare to dive into the series themes further. What if I told you Denji in Power is an allegory for somewhat of a modern person? Would you believe me? Well, let's start with the aforementioned.
優しい人だと思ったのに、ちょっと好きになったのに、こんな怖い女だったなんて。
Stop me if you've heard this before, but Denji's origin story is quite important to understanding the point of many of Chainsaw Man's themes, including some major ones. Denji has a father who left him 34 million yen, not money, but in debt. And on the day he found out, he comes across a devil named Pochita who saves his life, forming a contract with him and helping him slay devils. All Pochita wants from Denji is to hear his dreams, and on one faithful night, their lives would change forever as Denji and Pochita were killed, but merged together in an attempt to save Denji's life, and in turn, creating Chainsaw Man. Why this is important is because throughout the series, we see Denji, who, after being taken in by Makima in public safety, is exposed to the new realities of his life. Gone are the days of surviving weeks off a single piece of bread. Now, he can eat bread with all sorts of toppings. He can take a bath, use the toilet, sleep in a bed. Denji is able to experience things that we, as normal people right now, probably take for granted, or should. To him, simply being around Makima is a dream in of itself, as she treats him to things and doesn't mind his company. She even believes in him. Understand as well, Denji isn't some 20-something-year-old either. He's just a kid at the age of 16 living in a world of devils and monsters alike. He never had a normal upbringing in what would anyone really would call normal. He was forced to do anything to survive, even if it meant selling off his organs. Even before he became Chainsaw Man, his life was on a timer, as just like his mother, he was showing signs of a heart disease. Denji is not a normal kid, which is a way that Chainsaw Man plays with the idea of the one trope. We see this primarily with how Makima speaks of Denji. She believes in him, so much so even people like Aki, who follow Makima around a lot and know her best, are sort of confused. Why do you believe in Denji so much, Makima? Because he's special. To anyone else, to people like Aki, Denji has no convictions, no goals to speak of. In fact, all he wants to do is make friends with devils and touch boobs. He's not fit to be a member of public safety. He isn't special, he's just like any other oaf. However, Makima sees Denji in a different light. She believes that he is special. After all, he's one of the extremely rare cases of a human fusing with a devil. by statistics alone, from an objective perspective, Denji is special. Even more surprising is that the very convictions and goals that Denji doesn't have is kind of also what makes him special as well. The fact he wants to make friends with devils and fiends like Power also shows that Denji is unlike any other person. He's crazy. The reason he's special is because it takes a special kind of person to do what Denji wants to do. That's because he's doing something nobody really has by going against the grain and doing it all differently. This is because of Denji's innocence to the world. Despite his horrifying and traumatizing experiences, you may think a guy like Denji would be experienced in everything. He lives a hard life after all. On the contraire though, Denji is someone with little to no life experience at all because he never had a life prior. Everything is new because he himself is new to life. This is ultimately what makes Denji special. He's becoming a human right before our eyes by becoming a devil. He was reborn through Pochita to live out his dreams and get a second chance at life. And that's just one example though. We also have Power as another. And while you may think she isn't even remotely similar to Denji, in reality, she's almost a mirror of him. At least in terms of her origin story. The biggest example of which is before she was captured by Makima. Power was rabid, wild, and free. She was caked in dirt, cuts, and bruises, and would terrorize livestock and slay bears. She was doing what every fiend does, just trying to make her way through her own life, doing whatever she wanted. In a way, it's a hedonistic and sad existence, living so fiendishly. Though, one day, a starving cat came into her life. And while at first she wanted to fatten the cat up to eventually eat it just like any other animal, instead, she grew closer to the little kitty. Power in that regard, that day, became a little bit more human than at first because the animal gave her a companionship she never had prior that she didn't even really know existed or that she knew she wanted. And while you may laugh or call it simplistic, look to your own life. Sometimes it's not even people that bring out the best in us. It can be animals, goals, systems, jobs. It can be the fact that you want to earn $100 more a year to play a video game you want. Power, slowly, but surely, came to live for her cat. She would end up calling it Meowie, and the cat stayed loyal to her, slept with her, cuddled up, showed her warmth. It unlocked her soft side. Then, when Meowie was taken by the Bat Devil, and just before she was about to rescue her, she was taken by Makima in public safety. Her getting Denji to help her was necessary to save Meowie, and so she tricked Denji. Was she not just like any other devil or fiend? No. In reality, Power in that moment became something more akin to a human than she herself would likely ever admit to. As they say, the devil is in the details. Let's start from the top. Let's look at all your examples of devils and fiends, and then let's talk about what we know about them and what others have told us in this series. Did the zombie devil ever fight for a cat? Did the fiend feed on that bird for any reason other than to satiate its own hunger? Have we ever been told that fiends and devils are good? The answer is no. That is, except for one, Pochita. Otherwise, every example so far has been a revolving door of manipulation and evildoing by devils and fiends, even Power. Power choosing to save Meowie, though, showed that she cared for something that wasn't just her kind. In that moment, when the Bat Devil ate Meowie, she realized what Denji had said earlier to her in the train. Pochita is always with him, inside of Denji's heart, both literally and metaphorically. A comment that Power simply brushed off and took for comedy or another human lie now became her undeniable truth. Power learned how to have empathy through Denji's own experience. However, we have even other examples like Aki, and I want to invite on from Danata's Media, Dan, to talk about him. He's sort of an expert on the character, so Dan, take it away.
Hey guys, I'm Dan. For those of you who don't know who I am, I run my own anime YouTube channel called Danata's Media. There I make a whole bunch of coverage videos on a bunch of different anime that I watch, including Chainsaw Man. So if that interests you, head on over to my channel to check out some of my videos. Also, huge shout out to SeaTactics for allowing me to present the Aki segment of this video. I've always found Aki to be an incredibly fascinating and complex character, and I hope you'll all gain a different perspective on Aki's character coming out of this video. So, without further ado, let's begin. Aki, like Denji, is a character who is born a regular human, and while Aki never physically ceases to be human in the same way as Denji, the series does show us that he is someone who, in a way, has lost part of his humanity. When we first meet Aki, his character has a very cold demeanor. In fact, in his debut episode, he comes off as kind of an asshole, being needlessly cruel to Denji for his crush on Makima, and also for the sympathy he shows to devils. But while Aki's rather harsh and untrusting personality may come off as needlessly hostile and kind of racist at the beginning of the series, we are quickly shown that there is a lot more to Aki's character than we already know. It is at the end of episode 2 that we learn the reason behind Aki's aggressive and hostile personality. That being a very traumatizing past experience of having witnessed the murder of his entire family at the hands of the Gun Devil, which is something that is later shown to us in full detail during a flashback within episode 5. Based on this backstory, we come to understand that Aki's past with the Gun Devil is directly linked to why he acts the way he does in present day, as not only did the Gun Devil take the lives of Aki's family, but the Gun Devil also took one of the most crucial parts of Aki's humanity, his connection to other people. Because Aki had everything and everyone he valued most taken from him in such a sudden and violent way, he closed himself off emotionally from everyone else in his life and became hyper-fixated on his goal of hunting devils in order to prevent himself from feeling the pain of close personal loss ever again. So every choice and action Aki makes that may seem cruel and uncaring to us is really a coping mechanism to prevent others from wanting to get close to him. And even though we see these antisocial tendencies get the better of Aki more times than not, throughout the series we've slowly been seeing Aki peel back the layers of his hard exterior. As shown in the flashback to when he was first partnered with Himeno, Aki was at first very cold and distant towards her when they first started working together, and despite Himeno's best efforts, she still struggled to get him to open up to her, until the two characters are able to find common ground through their shared sense of loss. And the same thing can be said about Aki's feelings towards devils in the present day. While it's clear that he's still not the biggest devil fan, his perspective is slowly changing the more time he spends with Denji and Power. Though he gets off to a rocky start with both characters at the beginning of the show, the more Aki spends time with Denji and Power, the more he warms up to them, and also begins to see them less as devils and more for who they are as people. So while it may be a work in progress, throughout the course of the series, Aki is slowly regaining that part of his humanity that he lost through the friendships and bonds he's forming with the people in his current life.
Alright, thanks Dan for all of that. If you haven't already, go check out his channel. But anyways, getting back to it, it's these human experiences which Power looks down upon that she's now slowly learning to accept. It's these human experiences which, for example, Power would look down on that now she's slowly learning to accept. So, sure, but how are Denji, Aki, and Power the same though? Sure, they have somewhat similar backgrounds, similar themes, or having pets that save their lives, both being under the control of people who hold something over them? I get that, SeaTactics, but how do they mirror other than that? Well, they mirror in that both Denji, Power, and Aki are learning how to become human, together and apart. They are both new people to this world, and while they can't be further apart in terms of species, they both are just so similar otherwise. Power took over the body of a human as a fiend. Pochita fused with Denji to become his heart. They have no goals, no convictions, but it's Denji who is trying his best to break the mold and become friends with Power, and it's Power who through experience learns to empathize with Denji. They're one and the same, and together as buddies, not only will they be slaying devils together with Aki, but they'll be learning to live together because all three of them are special. And that is how Denji and Power and even Aki learned how to become human in Chainsaw Man. Through empathy, life experience, their furry little friends, and I guess getting kicked in the dick. Thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing for weekly Chainsaw Man content along with Bleach and One Piece as well, and become a patron to get access to exclusive content and help fund the videos on this channel. Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.